That is something you would like to think our listeners would expect.
I hope so.
If there's something big, we're not just going to ignore it. Talk about pickles. If there's not, we could talk about pickles.
I'm always ready to go on pickles.
I am too, man.
Not really.
Big pickle guy.
I don't think I have that much to say about pickles.
The spears, refrigerated spears. That's the one you want.
You're doing it already. Cut it out.
Let's go to Rich here. Hi, Rich.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Great. Thank you, Rich.
I agree with you guys. The offense is going to score 30 points. They're just going to do it because of Josh Allen. And it's not going to cost that money to bring our whole wide receiver room back, aside from Amari Cooper, which I don't know what he'll demand. But would everyone love to have Myles Garrett? Sure we would. But the way McDermott coaches defense, you're going to pay that guy that kind of money for 55% of the snaps, 60% of the snaps, when you can get a guy like Joey Bosa for half the money, and since he's only playing half the reps, he might stay healthier. What do you think?
He might. That's a big risk. He's played, I think I read today, 24% of the snaps the last 3 years. And that's not just being low on the rotational totem pole. He's been injured a lot. The last year, he was pretty healthy. So yeah, I mean that's not a terrible fallback in my opinion. I just think Garrett represents so much more than that still, and yeah, I mean it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you a lot more. Bosa's free now. I mean you got to pay him, but as far as acquiring him, and Garrett's going to cost you a lot of premium stuff and big money, but. What are we trying to do here? Like I think the defense. I would prioritize Garrett over Metcalf. As much fun as it is talking about Metcalf, I just don't know if if both trades were going to be made at the same time of the year. I would go whole hog as hard as I could to try to get Garrett ahead of Metcalf myself. It's not as sexy or fun because he's not a guy that catches the ball and runs away from defenders and scores touchdowns. But I think the need is greater. You said it. I mean, they scored 29 points a game last year, second highest scoring team in the league, and that was without, what? They did not have a dude. They tried to get one in Cooper, and it didn't really work. But still, the defense, to me, was the bigger need is still over there.
Rich, I'm kind of with you. I'm not sure I'm so keen on Bosa, but you're making a point about how much the guys will play. And that might be important to the conversation, that might be right to bring up. I don't know what McDermott would do with a guy like Garrett. Like, what should he do? He played 3/4 of the snaps for Cleveland, throughout his career. It's not every snap, but you'd probably want to do that.
I would think so.
But if McDermott were to look at it differently, then that would affect the value of the player to the team.
Yeah, I guess, we don't really know. Miller's the only one, and he was even, at his age, really, even when he got here and was healthy, I'd want to go back and see what his snap counts were, but I bet it wasn't, definitely, I'm almost sure it couldn't have been 75%.
His first year here?
Yeah,
okay. But
until he got injured. But the thing is, they've never really had a guy... maybe the reason they use their guys the way they use their guys is because they don't have a guy that's so good that they're all sort of comparable, so they're interchangeable, so keep them fresh. Makes sense. But if I've got a guy, it's sort of like the receiver conversation. If I've got a guy that's that good and can handle it, well then he should play 75% of the snaps, and I'll rotate everyone else.
Yeah, it's good point to bring up, I think, Rich. Thank you. Let's go.
How you doing?
Good, Matt. Thanks for calling us. We appreciate it very much.
Good. So I just wanted to add the point of I think the James Cook decision is going to play a pretty big impact on whether or not we want to sign DK or not. Because, he had 16 touchdowns last year, and Matt Collins led the team in receiving touchdowns, and I don't think either of those things are really sustainable. As much as the Bills, they had 29, they averaged 29 points a game last year. I just don't think it's going to be sustainable with either of those players continuing to lead the team in touchdowns on their field. So, I think in terms of money, James Cook, he wants $15 million a year. If DK wants 30, 35, that's like paying James Cook 15 and then another receiver another 15. So I'd rather just get DK and go ahead and get another rookie or run Ray Davis, and it would also open up the run game too if you don't think that James Cook is going to be around. So
okay.
That's all I had to say.
Thanks, Matt. I mean, Hollins, not to be picky about this, if it's going to be 5 that leads the team in touchdown catches, Hollins is capable of doing that again. But I see your point, and I agree on Cook. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very, to me, in certain ways, the Bills of last season, kind of a confusing team. The turnover stuff, needless to say, really helped with the scoring and the point differential. I mean, they had more than their share of drives that started on the plus side of the field because of turnovers, and they just did not turn the ball over themselves hardly ever. So, you have that kind of an advantage, a +2 per week or whatever you kind of have there, then that's going to help you in terms of points. Not that they weren't good, but I accept and agree with, like, the defense needs more help at this moment. That's got to be said. That's got to be right. But I don't think their offense is like all set, really. And I would love new talent at a skilled position there. Cook is probably going to be back. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't know what they're going to end up paying him. But this is part of why I'm so excited about, have gotten really kind of suddenly so excited about the idea of Metcalf, is because I'm not thinking of them so much as like 30 points a game Bills, as more just kind of like a more conservative, efficient team that, had kind of a dream season. And I think, like a previous caller this hour, juicing that offense up is not a bad thing. I mean, they might end up needing to have done that. So I'm on board. I don't know what he's going to cost, but I would love it. I would love to see it.
The scariest thing to me about doing a Cook contract now is that you're doing it coming off of that season. And I can appreciate wanting to reward your guys. I think, that matters to the locker room. I would think almost to a man, the guys on the team are rooting for him to get a contract that is somewhere right at or near the going market rate. But he does not play the amount of snaps that a guy like Barkley plays. And he's coming off a year where he jumped from 2 rushing touchdowns to 16. So I'm buying at the absolute peak there, and I don't know. I'm not sure at this point what kicking that down the road would do to Cook, to the team even, like how everyone would react to that. But the Bills do not have to do anything right now with him. I mean, they just don't. Again, I can get wanting to and liking the idea, but the player has to be cooperative to some extent, because I cannot foresee them coming in, even with the new Barkley extension, on a contract that pays him $15 million a year to play 52% of the snaps or whatever he plays. I just can't. I don't think that's good asset allocation.